Andrew Tucker, and welcome to Andrew Tucker World. What's going on, all my great people? And what's going on, all my boxing fans? It's really sad. It's really sad that you have Errol Spence Jr. fans and Terence Crawford fans going to war with each other. You know, I understand that you guys really have a lot of love and respect for these fighters. Some of you guys are just basically just basically appreciate the style of these fighters. I know you guys don't care about how much money they get, how much money they make or get paid, or what they do in their personal life. You just want to see them fight, and you appreciate their style. You know, you like to see what they do in the ring, and I get it. I understand. It's the reason why we love the sport of boxing. To see a fighter dominate, to see a fighter display his skills, to see a fighter execute his game plan, to see one fighter fight against another fighter, and two of the best fighters in the same weight class go at it, or two of the top pound for pound fighters in the world go at it, or a fight for legacy, in a unification bout, or a fight for undisputed, a fight for legacy, a fight to determine who is considered the best, who is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, and who is the best fighter between these two elite level fighters, and two of some of the best fighters in the world, or maybe the two best fighters in the world, number one and number two. The thing is this. I've been observing a lot of things that's been taking place in this community, and I just fell away from everything. You know, I do the YouTube shorts. You know, I might talk about fights, or even do live commentary for fights, up and coming fights that's going to take place, that's going to happen, that are official. That fights that are announced, that is officially announced, and that's official, and it's a done deal, and it's going to take place. That has a date, that has a venue, that's going to be on a certain network or app. The thing is, Terence Crawford is not afraid of no Terence Crawford, and I repeat, and this is the truth. So listen to when I say this. Terence Crawford is not afraid. Listen to me. Don't be a fanboy. Don't be delusional. Don't be a fanboy. Don't be a fanboy. Don't be delusional. Don't come at me saying you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. are not afraid of each other. Errol Spence Jr. fans, Terence Crawford fans, and I'm a fan of them both. I'm a fan of the sport of boxing, and I got a lot of love and respect for both of these warriors, both of these gladiators. They are not afraid of each other. You guys can hold them accountable. You guys can say one guy is ducking to fight this fighter. This guy never wanted to fight. This guy was ducking. That guy was ducking. I'm not going to do that because I know better. I know how to connect the dots. I know the agenda. I see the bigger picture. I know the agenda. To a certain extent, I understand the business side of boxing. To a certain extent, I understand and know a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So, Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Bud Crawford not fighting this year, a highly possibility that they're fighting, that they will be fighting the beginning of next year. I can't give you a date. I can't give you a date. But it's a highly possibility. A high percentage. A high possibility that they will be fighting the beginning of next year. Errol Spence Jr., opponent for a secured date to be determined. Terence Bud Crawford, David Evanesian, I believe that's how you pronounce the fighter's name. I've seen him fight quite a few times. He's a solid opponent. He's a solid opponent. I've seen him fight quite a few times. He's solid. I think he has only like 2 losses, but I think he's been dominating the last couple. He's been dominating his last couple of performances. The last 4, maybe 5 fights he's been winning, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Terence Bud Crawford fighting David Evanesian. Okay. It's not fighting Spence next. I'm not mad. I'm not upset, because I understand what's going on. It's a lot of people that comes in between of this fight. You want to make sure that when you invest money into a fight, you look to receive more. You look to receive when you invest. When a network invest into a fight, they look to receive double of the investment. They look to receive twice as much. They look to receive twice as much. They're looking to receive much more than what they invested. Just like you invest $200 in a stock that's generating a lot of money, or that particular company, the stock that you invested you invested your money into, that particular company is generating, or that corporation is generating a lot of money. It's generating a whole lot of money. And it went from, and you invested $200 and bought a share, or maybe a share, or you can say a stock, in that company. From that company, you invested into that company and bought a stock in that company, and that company went up from 100 million to $1 billion in 2 months, time, or 3 months time. You're gonna win. Your investment has just gotten bigger, because you invested. You purchased stock. You bought a stock, or 1 share of stock into that company that was at 100 million at the time, but now that company is worth $1 billion. Now that stock that you invested, that you purchased, that you invested into, that company you invested into, have made you a lot more money, and that 200 has become a much bigger investment. A much bigger investment. You invested in the cryptocurrency, the same thing. You invest money, even $10, and it goes from 1 billion to 1 trillion. Your investment just got maybe 10 times bigger. So that's kind of like how it is when promoters, networks, you know, people, investors that invest money into certain events, certain fights, or whatever it may be. Where they invest money, they look to benefit from their investment. They're looking to benefit. They sow a seed. They're looking to reap the harvest. So they're looking for a bigger investment. That's that's sort of what the situation is. It's kind of what the situation is regarding Terence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. It's just the business side. It's the business side. And maybe they all came to an understanding. It's a lot of people involved. A lot of people involved. Not just Terence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. You have names like Al Heyman is very familiar. Names like Floyd Mayweather Jr. is familiar. I can keep naming. It's a party that's involved. Team Crawford, Team Spence, that's involved. But it's also a situation where a fighter knows he's not gonna just take and receive anything. He's not gonna take or receive anything. And he knows when he knows his worth, and he knows what the event that he's a part of is going to be worth. Terence Crawford knows that Errol Spence Jr. will be his biggest. It's not just a legacy defining fight, but he know that it would be his biggest payday, his biggest purse. The largest amount of money generated. He knows what the fight, according to my knowledge, he knows what, and according to his knowledge, he knows what the fight is worth. Errol Spence Jr. knows what the fight is worth. Why do you think that he's not trying to fight Keith One-Time Thurman? He said he does not want to fight Keith One-Time Thurman, which is a great fight. I would love to see that fight. But he know that he can generate more money, and he knows the fight that the fans, the boxing fans, whether hardcore, casual, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of fan you want to say that's out there, he knows, like they know that the boxing fans know that that's the fight they want to see, a legacy defining fight. They worry, the people that pretty much have that's in control and have the power to make the fight. They feel that, okay, we can lose a lot of money. The pay-per-view might not be that great. We got a lot of people that's out here pirating and things of that nature. Watching free streams and things of that nature, not paying for the pay-per-view. We know how the situation out there, in internet land or on the web, it's easy access of watching these fights for free. In a high percentage of the people is not going to be purchasing a big fight, a fight of this magnitude. The fight is not, to them, they feel like this is a fight that they just feel like you just got people. But I believe boxing is big enough. And if you follow Terence Bud Crawford, you have millions of people that know who Terence Bud Crawford is. They know that knows who he is. All you got to do is go look at previous fights. Go look at previous fights, old fights. And you look at those fights on the social media platforms. You look at Terence Bud Crawford fights on YouTube, even YouTube alone. A lot of those fights and a amount of views is averaging 1 million to 2 million to 3 million views. His previous fights, old fights, even previous fights, recent fights, old fights to recent fights to previous fights are the number the amount of viewers, the number of viewers that's viewing his fights, even when it's free. His viewership be like, on ESPN, like 2 to 3 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. Errol Spence Jr. Pay-per-views is not all that great, but you still have a lot of people tuning in and watching him fight. Even when he was on free television, you had a couple of million, you had a good 1 million to 2 million people tuning in to see him fight because he was dominating. You hear about this kid, dominating and destroying everybody they put in front of him. People watching him, they know who he is. You look at his old fights, previous fights, recent fights, they doing like a couple of million views on YouTube alone. They don't have to have a big following on Instagram or Twitter and things of that nature. Long as you don't know that it's other social media platform outlets and people are from different parts of the world that's tuning in and that's watching these guys fights and that's looking at previous videos, training videos, not just old fights and previous fights, but they looking at old training videos and recent training videos. They know who these guys are. I would not be surprised if Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fought, that pay-per-view would do at least 700K, which is not terrible in today's world, in today's market when it comes to pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? That's not terrible. That's not bad. Because of the times we're living in right now, that's not terrible. That's not bad. 700K. But I believe it can do 1 million. I really strongly believe it can do 1 million. The pay-per-view sales, the money generated from the event itself, the gate. You know what I mean? A lot of people have to get paid. I totally understand. A lot of people got to get paid. It ain't just the fighters. The network and its staff has to get paid. Promoters have to get paid. The promotional company has to receive. Also has to get paid and has to receive their benefits. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people. Team Crawford, Team Spence has to get paid. A lot of people has to get paid. But I believe it's a big enough event where it can do the kind of numbers that everybody can eat and everybody can benefit from. But more importantly, the fighters. More importantly, the fighters, man. I'm not here to hold Terence Crawford accountable, to talk bad about him, to call him a duck. I know better than that, because I see the bigger picture. I can dig down a little deeper, but that might be another video for another day. I understand the situation regarding Errol Spence Jr. But please stop disrespecting these fighters. Please. I know Terence Crawford been calling out Spence and been wanting Spence for the longest. He been wanting all those guys over there, part of PBC. He been wanting those guys for a long time, calling all them guys out, and we know the situation, and we know, on his end, and we know the situation regarding PBC, Al Heyman and his staff and his stable. You know what I'm saying? I understand all of that, but that's in the past. We ain't worrying about that. So at the end of the day, please let's stop disrespecting these fighters, man. Because I got a lot of love and respect for both of them fighters. We got to start respecting these fighters, appreciating what they have accomplished so far in the ring, in the sport of boxing. Terence Bud Crawford, three division world champion at 130, champion. Champion at 135, champion at one champion at 135, became undisputed at 140, and now champion again at 147. So we gotta respect him. One of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. We gotta respect him. Saying he haven't fought anybody, like, come on. Like, I can break down his resume and explain to you why his resume is a nice, decent, solid resume. And I can give you at least 8 or 9 solid fighters, tough fighters, elite level fighters on his resume. Yeah, that you guys may not give him credit for, because I guess you guys not real boxing fans all the way. You guys are halfway. You guys not all the way. Y'all halfway. Now, when it comes to Errol Spence Jr., yes, solid resume. 147, dominating. Great resume. 2-time unified welterweight champion. Unified welterweight champion. One of the best fighters in the world. Pound for pound. Start showing these fighters love, man. Start respecting these fighters. Stop tearing them down. Stop being a fanboy, disrespecting one fighter because you love one fighter and you might not even support that fighter. You know what I'm saying? You might be fanboying for him, then you might don't even support him or pay for his fights or even go to his fights or pay for his fights. Not saying all of y'all. But I'm saying that some fans, man, y'all ain't keeping it real. Y'all ain't keeping it real. I know how it can be. You know what I mean? But Andrew Tucker World, I'm out. Much love and respect.